Hey everybody, once again we are here with another one of our Like Clockwork Preludes. I am Danny Oliver, member cadre of Rem Alternus, the content manager and writer of the Coddlesworth's Clockwork Circus graphic series that we hope to be presenting to everybody later on this year. We're here today doing the preludes for Like Clockwork, the campaign that is associated with that graphic series, which will also be starting later this year. Today we've got my friend Roland. He is joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Roland. This is the first time they're seeing you.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Roland. I'm coming out of Seattle. Dan and I knew each other from way back when, old roommates, like back when I was like in my early 20s. Been playing D&D. Actually, Danny was like one of the first people to run me through a D&D game. So the rest is history, to be honest. I usually play maybe about 3 games a month, kind of like a juggle. And I'm really been thinking about this for months, and I'm pretty excited to be doing this and working on this project. I hope I don't disappoint.
Me too. So yeah, today we're going to be running the first prelude for Aegis Ing. This is Roland's character. The setting in the world today for this prelude is in the continent and empire of Danang. This is sort of our Asian analog. Let me pull some stuff up here. Yeah, this is sort of our Asia analog. It's probably the largest of the empires, period. It is made up of 4 sections. They call it the 4 winds of Danang. So there's the east wind, the west wind, the north wind, and the south wind. Ooh, very creative. But those are basically the different sections of the continent. It's pretty big. So those are kind of like the nations within the empire. And we're going to be in the east wind of Danang, which is where Roland's character Aegis is from, where he grew up. The whole of Danang, it's a very storied sort of continent. Empires have arisen and empires have fallen. They've come and gone, various dynasties, and throughout it all, there's always been this sort of caste of advisors called the Shan. They've always been present, but there's not a lot of them, and they're very mysterious. They've stood next to kings, they've stood next to emperors, they've stood next to rulers, generals, and they have always advised them. After about 300 or 400 years ago, there was sort of a final sort of battle, and the advisors kind of were like, this keeps happening. We can't get anywhere, and so they basically orchestrated a coup. And now the whole of Danang is ruled by the Shan. The emperor is a member of the Shan caste, and all of the highest advisors and city officials and administrators are all of the Shan caste. They have their own sort of royal guard, etc. And like I said, they're very mysterious sort of sect of people. They are always masked and fully covered in cloth. There are universities where folks can go, and so it seems to many of the people that the Shan are not really like an ethnic group so much as they are sort of a group where people are able to train into them, and maybe like a secret society, more of a secret society than an ethnic group per se. That said, no one really does know. Yeah, so in the eastern part of Danang, the East Wind, this is a very mountainous region. In ancient times, there was something happened. Sort of the legends say that a great wall of stone was erected kind of around the whole of that eastern part of Danang. And so yes, there's the Ring Mountains that are in the border and kind of cover around the whole edge. And there's certain mountain passes that kind of break through there, but then the rest of the region is very mountainous. It's very colorful. Think of sort of a combination of like the beauty of Japan, like feudal Japan, and all of the aesthetics that go with that, and then maybe like Korea as well. But it's all high in the mountains. It's all it's foggy all the time. There's they're in the clouds, but that's where we're at today. And in this place, of course, there is Aegis, and that is Roland's character. So tell us a little bit about Aegis Ing.
Okay. Aegis was raised as basically a doctor in a town called Hulsenzo, which was named after his great grandfather, or grand ancestor, actually, rather. Um, his family has been healers in that town, more of a holistic type of a healer for centuries. Um, and it's expected that the business be passed to him, that he would be the town's healer eventually. He his father is basically the holistic healer of the town, but his mother was a soldier from Ireland, and so his upbringing is kind of he's got these two different influences, and his father was very strict. He definitely wanted him to do things the traditional way, wanted him to follow in his footsteps, but his mother kind of put a little bit more broader form of thought uh, for him, um, reading him books about fantasy and strange histories, and just kind of um, stimulated his imagination. So while he has this very very stern upbringing, he still has a little bit of whimsy in his life and a little bit of encouraged to use his imagination. So even though his father wants him to like follow in their footsteps, he doesn't. That's not his idea of living. So he's about 27 years old now, where we pick up. Um, he's decided that he can't. Well, his mother passes away, and he finds out that he decides that he can't live the way that he's expected of him to live. So he decides to go out and try to adventure for himself. He takes his skills with him, and that's being a healer. He's not a very imposing figure, so a lot of people don't take him seriously really as a warrior, even though he would like it that way. But he takes his abilities with him, and he goes out and he tries to become an adventurer, kerhum, as they would call it in Chai Tuating, which means inquisitive blade is what that means. In different regions, it's actually they would say it's a nosy sword. That's what they call adventurers who come around, always asking questions. So so he goes out and he tries to do that. Meanwhile, he comes upon a school for mercenaries, and he tries to learn the ways of the adventurer, the ways of the mercenary, try to toughen himself up and kind of broaden his skills. Um, and that's kind of what he's doing now when we pick up and we meet with him.
Right. All right. So we got so he's a level 1 fighter right now, and as we begin our story in Chaitwating, um, that was pretty good, Roland, how you pronounce that, actually.
Thanks.
Better than um, it's been interesting. Like the players have been really kind of getting into their settings, and of course, me, I have the broad picture, so I'm having to kind of develop everything, and so I have to go and go back and look it up. The East Wind, what was that? Oh yeah, Chaitwating. Biapting is North Wind. Pimting is the West Wind, and then Week Wikting is the South Wind. But I had to go look that up because I haven't memorized all that stuff. But yeah, so out of the mercenary school, of course, there are it being a mercenary school, it is also a place where those who are hiring warriors or men at arms will often go to find perhaps a cheap sword if they're pulling from like the lesser experienced, or to find to pay that top dollar for some of the better mercenaries that might be congregated around there. So it's a good networking place as well for the various mercenaries and the like. And so it is that Aegis is hired by an individual uh, who goes by the name of Kenwa Jung. He is archaeologist, a scholar. He is excited about a potential discovery in one of the deep canyons, sort of far to the north in Chaituating. and he is looking for. He's got. He's basically getting a small expedition together to just kind of be the first to get there. So he doesn't want to put together something big because that takes time. It takes a lot of logistics. He wants to get there quickly and be one of the first people on the scene to sort of check out what it is that's going on. Um, and so with that, he hires from the mercenary school, Aegis, as well as a young woman, Chiengan. Um, he also has a third individual that is kind of hired on as well, Towasu. He's sort of a more lithe, squirrely sort of fella, but he does seem to kind of know his way around a blade. Um, Also with Ken Wajung is his assistant, Intan Che. She is basically coming along to kind of like record everything as he's speaking, so that he doesn't have to stop and he can just kind of say what he's seeing when they find whatever that it is he thinks they're going to discover, and then she'll take that all down. And of course, there's several porters as well in this group. So with that, they've already been traveling as we start our prelude here. They've already been traveling for several days, probably a couple of weeks, and they are probably just a few miles, maybe half a day's journey to the old ruins that they're searching for, that they're going to, and they're making camp for the night. They can see in the distance as the sun is setting this light that is flashing far in the distance on top of this, what looks like a pagoda or a temple of some sort of tower in the distance. Uh, but they don't want to travel at night. It is the canyon, even though they're down in the bottom. It's treacherous to walk at night. You could fall easily, and so they stop and they make camp for the final evening um, before they arrive. The tents are all set. The porters are finally sitting around the fire. Uh, Towasu is sharpening a long blade, a fairly long dagger. It's got a wicked curve at the end. Chi has a naginata, and she is also sitting, and she's just kind of kind of sharpening that. It's just kind of something to keep her mind on things, or to keep her focused. Um, in the larger tent, Kenwa Jung is enclosed with Intan Che, and he's talking to her about his various theories and what he thinks is going on. Um, and what is Aegis doing?
He uh we'll say I am over by the fire. I have a big old backpack on my back. It's almost comedically big. It's got most of our supplies in it. I sling it in front of me and I pull out a pot, and I begin to put the pot over the fire. Take a few supplies out of my bag and start looking through what I've got, vegetables and maybe some little bit of dried meats. And I start cooking it over the fire. Um, yeah,
As
begin
you
preparing a
so
meal.
a couple of the porters are kind of looking side eye at you. They start kind of whispering amongst themselves, like, is he cooking again? The you've been cooking several nights on this trip. One of the things that you've kind of said when you got hired on is that you enjoy cooking. Unfortunately, enjoyment and being really good at cooking are two separate things. And it turns out that Aegis is more a learning connoisseur of spices and ingredients. And so some nights the meal's been surprisingly good. Some nights it's not so much. And so it's always kind of a crapshoot, and the porters are aware of this, and they're kind of like, oh, hope it turns out good tonight. Hate to have have bubble guts in the morning when we're trying to get to the old temple, carrying carrying old Jung's stuff. Um,
I'm digging in my pack, and I pull out this little packet, and I turn over and I say, Toasu, I found this little brown powder in my bag. What do you think this tastes like? Do you think it would be good in a stew? And I smell it. Ooh, it's a little musky.
Tawasu looks over at you as he's sharpening the blade. Says, "You don't know what it is?"
Not sure. Do you think musky equals delicious?
I don't think it will matter what I think. I think you're going to put it in that pot regardless.
You are very astute.
Well, I'll let them have first taste before I dig in. That will be certain.
I'm certain. I am certain it'll be fine. And I just pour it like with no measurement into the pot.
Into the Chiangan, she kind of laughs a little bit. She chuckles at the exchange. Um, she's been actually fairly of everybody in the group. She seems like the one you kind of get along the most with. She seems pretty unflappable. When the nights that like the food has been a failure, she hasn't. She never gives you a hard time about it. She just the worst she's ever done was like she took a bite and then she just kind of set the bowl down and just smiled and you know. Um, and so she chuckles at that. And the porters kind of like as you dump like the whole of the brown packet in, they just kind of look, you put all of it in. He doesn't even know what it is, you know. Um, and so you kind of continue just stirring the pot and putting in the various vegetables. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a test for cooking. Since you do not
Yes.
have the cooking proficiency, it's going to be a straight up wisdom test because I feel like it's about like intuition and insight and when you so that's how I feel as a
Yeah, I
non.
like that.
So we'll go ahead and do that. So you had some decent test rolls a little earlier, but now your first roll of the actual game. So everybody in the preludes, we've had someone's first roll for their actual game be a 20, and here we have someone's first roll for their actual game be a 1. Turns out the musky brown powder was soap.
No.
As the pot is starting to bubble and boil, the bubbles start kind of frothing up at the top. And this is sort of normal when something boils very, very hot, and sometimes if you kind of like just blow on it, the bubbles will come down. Anyone who's cooked pasta, you know this. But it's just not happening. Like the bubbles are just like start just pouring out of the pot like Diet Coke and Mentos style almost, it's just like it's practically shooting up, several inches above and just kind of foaming over the edge. It's splashing into the fire. The musky smell, though, is actually a sort of a pleasant musky. It's like the scent of like musk and like cedar maybe a little bit mixed in there. And so it's actually not an unpleasant scent. It's like, you know, a burly guy that's got his cologne and stuff, with good hygiene, but he's been working all day outside. It's kind of that scent, and and of course, Tawasu just he actually falls over backwards on his log that he was sitting on. He's just laughing his ass off. Um, Chingan is smiling, and she kind of gets up and starts like takes her naginata and kind of puts the blade under the handle to like move the pot off of the fire so that the fire doesn't get put out. Just trying to be a little bit helpful. The porters are all just kind of like a couple of them are laughing, one staring with horror, like we were gonna eat that. And
I say, this bubbles? What is this? Look at the packet. Oh, my soap. Goodness. I adjust my glasses, kind of wipe them off.
soap. Are you trying to say we all have bad breath, Aegis? Watch cries out. You. Oh, that would have cleaned us out for sure. We
that could
might
not
not have been.
that could be a good thing.
No, no, it wouldn't be a good thing, Aegis. Not a good thing at all. Um, Kenwa then opens up the tent and he walks over and he sees the pot and he's like, "Oh, the soup is on." And he kind of grabs a bowl and like dips a ladle into the pot and everyone's like, "No, no, 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 no!" And he's just like, "What? Should I not eat?"
For it is my responsibility to look over the health of this party. You may decide against it this one time.
Oh,
I take it.
okay.
I just take it from him, pour it on the ground.
Well, well, dry rations it is then for our final night before the temple. Uh,
At the sound of that, my face just gets completely just like unhappy about the sound of dry rations.
he turns and goes back into the tent. Several moments later, his assistant comes out, Intanche, and it's obvious she's done with her duties for the evening, and so she goes to her own smaller tent that the porters have set up for her. Um, Tawasu has basically just a little personal tent that he has. Chingan, she also has a tent, but she doesn't generally set it up unless there's inclement weather, is what you've noticed. So she's just kind of like lays out a bedroll and just sleeps on that near the fire. The porters have a common tent, a largish common tent that they have set up for themselves. And Aegis,
So everybody can see that I'm pretty, like everyone might look a little gruff, like they've traveled the roads a lot. But if you look at Aegis, he's very clean. Like he takes very good care of his clothes. He's wearing his medical uniform that they would be wearing in the field that he'd been given. It's still in great condition. It's pressed. Um, so he then takes off that big bag that he has on his back and puts it down, and I open it up and start to like pull out pieces of this tent and take my time pulling out a pole, take a little elbow out, and like start making this tent very very slowly. Um, it looks a little bit more high maintenance than it should be for a mission like this, but I start building this tent for myself.
all right. Well, with that, go ahead and make a survival check, just real quick, just to see if more shenanigans ensue.
Hopefully not. Let's do things right. Let's see here. Survival. Okay.
All right. So this isn't like your strength, and you're eager, you're putting it together, and you'll get there. You'll get there. It's a tent. It's not, it came with instructions. They're on the inside, and you can't really see them until after you've set up the tent. Uh, I don't know why they've, tents everywhere. That's how it is.
I am a
But
scholar.
But
This is
then
ridiculous.
Shingon actually he actually comes over and just kind of grabs the back end, to help you kind of pull it out and get it all set up. And so she helps you set it up so that you're not spending, like an hour setting up your tent. Um, and she just has a way about her that doesn't ever feel like she's annoyed or that you're kind of being you're a pain in the ass or anything. It's just very matter of fact, like, oh, looks like you need a little help. I'll come and help you. And that's just what she does. Tawasu is just, he's in his tent. Like I said, it's a really little pup tent, so it barely kind of fits him. And he's kind of on his shoulders like this, just looking out at you and just kind of like shaking his head. Uh,
Bitaru Chingan.
why, why are you out here? You seem more
What do you?
suited for the cities.
Uh, I I've been told that very much. I don't think that's my place. I think there's something bigger out there for me.
Hmm. Well, um, we do appreciate your skills as a healer. Um, we probably would have been slowed down a couple of days if you hadn't been able to splint Jawang's leg, um, the sprain. So I'm glad you're here. Um, it'll be interesting to see what we discover tomorrow.
The prospect of finding some sort of history in an ancient temple. This is so exciting.
Well, I agree. It is exciting. I'm not uh, I'm not a scholar, but I do think that being the first to lay eyes on something old and ancient that people haven't seen in thousands of years is well, it will be an experience. and I look forward to sharing it with everybody here that's been my companions for these past few weeks. Um,
I only wish that I would be allowed to see some of the maps and information that our researcher has.
um well, I feel he has most of it just in his head. Um, some of his old books and the like, but I mean the ruins that we're traveling to, they've been there for some time. It's just this the recent revelation of the light that has been reported. Uh I don't know what he expects to find, truly. Um, he seems a smart individual, if a bit absent.
Hmm. In some cases, I can relate.
Mm, yeah,
How
I
was
would
your?
agree.
How was the smell of the soup today? By the way, did you enjoy that?
It was pleasant enough. Uh, I hope that it keeps predators at bay. Um, I am certain that the combination of fire and the musky scent of a creature marking its territory will will do just that. Indeed. Uh, well, in any case, as she kind of puts the final pole down, um, sleep well tonight, Aegis, and we'll see what the temple holds for us tomorrow.
You as well. Bitaru again
Yeah.
for your time.
So she goes kind of over by the fire where she lays, um, sets her naginata kind of next to her. She's only got like a light leather armor, and she generally stays in that when she's sleeping. Um, Aegis, however, being more of a heavy armor user, a chainmail user, he actually has to take off his armor, or else he's gonna be exhausted the next.
Hmm.
Excuse me, or else he's gonna be exhausted the next morning. So yeah, but fortunately, the night passes without any incident, and as the sun is rising, the porters are already up, making a breakfast, clearing up the parts of the camp that they're responsible for, packing them in so they can carry all of that stuff. Um, the noise is enough to wake anyone who would otherwise sleep any longer. Um, so yeah, Aegis wakes up in his tent.
Well, I think that I would be awake before um, most people. Um, Outside of my tent, doing like calisthenics, like kind of how like the kids in Asia when they start school, they have to do like these basic like lift calisthenics and stretches and stuff like that. I'm
Right.
doing that with a hup, 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 and not minding how loud I am as I do
Right.
it.
It doesn't seem to bother most people. It's kind of been a sort of sort of kind of become a ritual now for the camp. Like you're almost the alarm clock for everybody else. Um, but as Tawasu is kind of climbing out of his tent, he's like hop, 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 hop every day, hop, hop. Gee, you know, we're about to do like discovery today. Maybe take a break.
It
I
is
don't.
important to be limber and healthy and vibrant every morning. Never miss your calisthenics. Always get your breath going. You would be right to follow. Yes, I know, I know. Yes, I know. Hup, hup,
Well,
hup, hup, hup.
he just kind of rolls his eye and he just like kicks over the poles on his tent and they fall and he just rolls it up really quick. Um, the and he goes over to the porters and just they start chatting and he's just like, yeah, that will be something I don't miss when we're done with this expedition. Um, so shortly after breakfast, which is served to Kenwa and Intan in their main tent, uh, Kenwa kind of steps out. Glorious day! Indeed. We will be heading to the temple. I'm excited. We will be there midday, I believe, and It's a beautiful day. Great day for discovering old things. Uh, as he's speaking, Intan is kind of behind, just writing down like pretty much everything he says. Um, so let's get this tent down and we'll be off. Uh, the porters all quickly move over to the tent. They bring it down quickly with practiced ease. Um, you've got your tent kind of packed away already. Packing it away is always easier than putting it together and setting it up. So you've got your stuff packed away, and within half an hour, the camp has been struck, and everybody is in a line heading straight down towards this temple. You're following along a river in the canyon, and the sort of order of march is that Chiangan is generally in the front, with Tawasu sort of keeping sort of a point, maybe 30 feet ahead. Um, you tend to bring up the rear, and then the porters kind of follow behind Kenwa and Intanche. The the rest of the path, the next morning, there's only kind of a sort of singular difficult point just near the temple where there's a little bit of climbing that needs to happen. But with the porters and the ropes and everything and all the climbing gear, it's not difficult at all. And everybody is easily propelled up the wall, and you discover kind of running next to the main temple above, there's the river kind of comes down and then falls in a waterfall, maybe 50 feet, maybe more, and then pools up there and then kind of rushes out. And as as you're looking up, go ahead and give me a perception test.
Mm.
All right, with a 12. So you see Chiangan kind of actually looking in towards the waterfall, and then you follow her eye line and see that actually the water is sort of masking what appears to be. It feels like it. At first, it seemed like light maybe reflecting off the sun of the waterfall and kind of back, but then you realize that the angle is kind of wrong, and there seems to be that sort of same bluish light is kind of coming from behind the waterfall as well.
Does anyone else see that?
Chiangan nods. Yes, look, I believe there's a light coming from behind. Kenwa Jung is like, oh, that's let's go check it out, and just like scurries ahead of everybody and actually rushes past Tawasu. Intanche is kind of trying to hustle to keep up. Tawasu rolls his eyes. It's kind of this thing where like Kenwa gets excited and he starts like rushing ahead, and that off as every bodyguard knows, that makes it harder to protect your principal,
Right.
right? So
Right.
um,
Chauniku Jung, slow down. Be careful. We don't know what is ahead.
so with that, everybody kind of rushes forward, um, and we will open up our map for today. All right, so
Ooh.
we are now on a map here. If you're looking at the map, so this map was made using Incarnate. If you, it's free. It's software. It's web browser based software that you can go on for free. You can actually try it out, and you know. You can only save so many, and they're kind of smaller, and the resolution's not as great or what have you. But they have like a subscription, and then you have full access. You can make these really big, high resolution maps. Um, I didn't spend a lot of time on these maps just to kind of get what I was looking for, real simple, but you can really get into detail with a lot of these. Once again, for our Patreons, we'll make sure that we package these up and make these available for you guys to use in your own games at home. Um, so with that, uh, you can see everybody here, and what we've got is we've got all the porters. They have the white bases, and you guys have tracked kind of through behind the waterfall and found that there's crumbling rock walls and structures, and there's an opening, a couple of openings actually, and there's sort of this bluish light is kind of emanating out from these openings, but you can see that there's worked stone on the other side of these openings. And Kenwa, by now the three warriors have kind of moved to the front, and Kenwa is just bouncing with excitement. Oh, this there's no record of a subterranean section of those ruins above. This is exciting. Oh, I bet no one's laid eyes on this for years, for thousands of years. Ah, and he just kind of rushes into this first room. So that's Kenwa. So he is in this first room. You can see that there's sort of a narrow passage to the west and another passage to the north. The passage to the north is flanked by two archways that have statues, and the statues are of people holding books and looking out ahead. There's nothing else in this room. It seems like it's been so long that anything in this room that might not have been made of stone or metal probably has just rotted away completely into nothing but dust. The floor is a sort of a stone tile covered with lichen and moss all throughout. Each of the statues sort of have an inscription that kind of goes across, and there's something familiar about those inscriptions, the lettering and stuff, but it's just out of reach. Make a history test there.
Will do. This should hopefully go better.
No.
What's happening?
So like I said, some of the lettering certainly does look. It raises familiarity, but you can't read them. Kenwa, however, he approaches and he approaches these, and he kind of looks at it, and it says, the heroes. He reads it out loud and he translates, the heroes of Brajal. May they rest forever. The heroes of Brajal, may they rest forever. That's Brajal, Brajal. Eh. Oh, this is ancient day wall. Actually, the lettering. See, you can see how it this forms into the words, the lettering that we use today that we're more aware of. Yes, but it is not Daewoo. It's the predecessor. Oh, exciting. These words are no one's seen anything like this for ever for recorded history. Well, he looks up, and over here on this this wall, kind of just to the east, he sees another like sort of word, and he's like, oh, there's a temple this way. A subterranean temple. What could that be? And with that, he kind of rushes into that room, with Intan Che sort of chasing along. So at this
Is
point,
there a chance that I recognize that word at all, or did my history check cover that whole?
which
thing?
word?
Brajal.
No. Yeah. So at this point, Roland, no, the history check is yeah, you don't recognize any of the stuff. That history check was more to see if you recognize the lettering and maybe some of the words. But the if you're talking about the name Brajal, that is definitely not something you've ever heard before.
Okay.
At this point, your token here, you can go ahead and move that as you like. Just kind of keep it with just within a few token a few spaces of Kenwa, unless you're deciding to just rush ahead of everything.
Right.
But I'm going to start revealing more of this temple as you guys are moving through. So
Sure.
let's go ahead and reveal this room here as Kenwa moves in. Uh, oh, that's astounding. That is what is that? A statue of the porters are staying back in the back, and they're kind of setting up equipment, some stuff for Kenwa to ride on and the like. Xiangan, she moves into the room and kind of flanks around to the right, and just is looking around. Inside this room, there is a sort of a raised circular tableau. It's got some sort of brass or gold. It's not very tarnished, so it makes you think it's gold. That kind of goes around, and then up there's a stone sort of altar, and then there's a statue that sits atop this of a woman. She's got a hood and it's kind of got her arms together. The statue also is doesn't have any. It's not tarnished either, and so that kind of makes you think that that's also made of gold. Around the three corners of the room, there are empty sort of pots. They make you think of braziers, like for fires and the like. Those are tarnished, heavily tarnished, with time and age, and there are of course no flames in them just now. So yeah, that is quite an amazing thing, Tawasu says as he kind of stares up at it. As
Yeah.
Kenwa is walking around with Intan.
What do you suppose this statue is made of? It's virtually untarnished. Such a thing is impossible.
Make a perception test. As Tawasu is kind of looking up at it, he's like, "Well, I imagine it's made of gold."
You said perception, right?
Yes.
Hey, there we go.
Ooh.
That's more like it.
As he says that, you see him kind of like reach at the edge of this tableau, that's this raised up part, and actually, you see him kind of trying to wiggle one of these gold bars out of the thing, and just kind of like he just seems to kind of be working at it, but he's trying to do it without you seeing, as you kind of move up. But you see him doing it.
You said Tawasu?
Yeah, Tawasu.
Do you think that's a good idea, friend?
He lets go of it and he says, "Well, I think being wealthy is a good idea, always."
Well, I don't blame you, but don't get us killed, Tawasu.
He kind of smirks at that, and then shrugs. Make an insight check.
Oh, I'm quite good at that.
Uh-oh.
Except for when I don't roll good.
You kind of get this uneasy feeling from the smirk and his look, but then you just kind of wave that off as sort of an anxiety. But he just kind of is, he stops fiddling with it and is like, as you say, and he kind of moves down in this direction, out of sight. As Kenwa Jung is moving around the statue, he finally kind of comes back around to where you are, and he sees that there's an inscription on the front, and it says, and he's trying to read it, and it says, the woman, ni poi, our lady, Nipoe, who guards and guides us. Huh. That's the statue of Nipoye. Everybody, I present Nipoye. And he kind of puffs his chest out. Intan is furiously scribbling with her quill. She's got kind of on the side of her notebook is like a little kind of a catch that holds like a small ink pot, and so she's dipping in, and then she's scribbling away at what he's saying.
What does the statue
Well,
look like?
it looks like a young woman. She's got a serene face. Her eyes are closed, and her head is kind of bent forward. And her hands are tucked into her sleeves, in her robes. And like I said, she's got a hood up. It's like a hooded robe, and she's kind of. It just looks like a sort of just serenity, right? Wow, this is uh, quite fascinating. Come in, Tan, and he ducks down here. As he does, Chiangan kind of moves up to you and who do you think she was?
I suspect some sort of great leader or maybe a hero from the early days of Daewang.
Hmm. I feel like this is older than Denang.
Really?
I mean, the Empire has only been the Empire for a few thousand years. I feel like this is older.
Hmm.
Uh, and with that, she's following Intan and Kenwa down this way.
I just take a second to like double look at the statue and kind of like take note of its appearance, and then I follow them.
All right. Like I said, go ahead and move your token as you like. You move into here, and as you come out of the end of the passageway, you do see that it turns both directions, but you see that Kenwa and Intanche have gone to the south. You see there's rubble there. If you enter in, there's like a crumbled staircase that leads up. Um, Presumably maybe to the ancient ruins that are above. It's probably how people could have got in and out of here. There's rubble here on the south that looks like an opening that might have gone somewhere else that's closed off. Tawasu is sort of checking it all out. Kenwa is just kind of looking over everything in the room. There doesn't seem to be much in here. After a while, he kind of turns triumphantly and says, "This is a foyer." Yes, this is where supplicants would enter and enter into the temple back here. Yes, and with that, he walks up this way into what, as you were looking, definitely appears to be some sort of cathedral. Yeah, it definitely appears to be some sort of cathedral. There's several like very large marble pillars sort of throughout, kind of spaced throughout, supporting the ceiling of this room. There are more of those brass braziers there. You can see them at the various corners, and then at the end, it's definitely raised up. There's a section with sort of like just small stairs. I mean, you could get up on it without having to climb. You could just like lift your leg really high to get up on it. But there's stairs for like normal step walking up to like a raised section that has an altar centered. There's some more braziers in the corner, and then there's steps in that. There's another raised section at the far end, and another statue of that woman. Same woman, but this one is made of some sort of stone, worked stone that is surprisingly untarnished or untouched for time. The facial features are a little bit more diluted. They're not as clear. Just time has kind of taken its toll, but it's definitely not. It's not a crumbling statue, or there's nothing about it that's breaking or broken.
I reach into my side satchel and I pull out a piece of jerky and I bite one piece, and as Tawasu is coming up, I just like, without looking at him, kind of like offer him one over my shoulder.
Okay. He takes it as he passes, and then he starts chewing on it. Um, in this sort of temple chamber, there's sort of what looks like the remnants of murals might have etched into the walls on the left hand side. Some lettering. There's the same as on the right hand side. And Kenwa is taking it all in, very very fascinated. It seems this this tells the story of the rise of Brajal. Brajal. Oh, so it seems that the ancient gods were cruel and capricious. That's that's a trope, huh? Cruel and capricious ancient gods. Huh? Well,
I chuckle
surprise,
a little.
surprise. But that Brajal and his companions faced them and defeated them. Okay, that's and took their power. Yes, of course they did. Took their power, and they ruled with justice and honor. Of course they did. And yes, it appears that the his companions grew corrupt and power mad, and so he raised the Ring Mountains around Chaituating with his god powers, obviously, and closed it off to the rest of the world so that the people could live peacefully and safe within the walls of the Ring Mountain. Um, hmm, I like that. That's an interesting tale. Well, what do you think, Aegis? You're a learned man.
About what you just said, I do know that my town of Husenzo is one of the bordering towns to enter the Ring Mountains. I didn't really know much else about the history of the mountains themselves. Speaking of beings with divine power, that can't be. I'm a man of science. That's got to be a ridiculous fable.
Yeah, well, who knows what these ancients believed? Could be anything. Um, with that, he moves up onto the altar and oh, fascinating. Uh, Intan, get up here. Just copy all of this down. Uh, he's looking at this sort of slate tablet that's on the altar. Um, Tawasu is examining the pillars. Chiangan is sort of kind of keeping a lookout. Um, says here that
I'm kind of. Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, I'm kind of awestruck just by the how ancient everything looks. So my like trajectory is kind of like a meander. I'm kind of meandering, but I'm heading towards the altar as well. And as I pass Tawasu, I whisper, "Don't get us killed." And meander kind of.
He as you say that he looks and he kind of pokes his finger at like a little button looking thing that's part of the designs, and he kind of pushes his finger against it and gives you a look like um it seems that this Brajal was able to find a way to pass on his divinity to others. And so he granted trusted advisors and people of moral courage and honor to carry some of the essence of his divinity to help him rule the lands so that he could have uh, guiding hands where he could not be, so that the people would be able to live more prosperously. So yes, that's seems that he had six assistants here. The here we go. Rongjin. Uh, this one is Kultup, Kiltup, and this Kikukit, uh, Gorek, Oh, here's Nipoye and Doanjuk. I guess this would constitute a pantheon of gods for these ancient people here. Um, hmm, interesting. Very interesting. Yes. Well.
Do I see maybe any like literature around, any books, anything like
So
that?
no,
Scrolls
anything that like that is just would have
disintegrated.
away and disintegrated. It's this is probably maybe when the walls fell and like fresh air rushed in for the first time in thousands of years.
Hmm.
I mean, who knows? But there's definitely like you can see dust and like wood splinter dust where like pews might have been in this temple. Um, you see like there's the metal bars of what and like remnants, very thin frayed remnants of like what might have been a curtain kind of behind the statue up there on the thing, but it's definitely not nothing in here really survived any sort of thing like that.
Okay.
Um, well, we'll definitely come back here and get a better reading of all of this. Um, come, down this way. There's more to discover. And with that, he leads everybody into this sort of here, basically what turns out to be a fairly empty chamber. Um, there are you can see again in the walls here etched in the remains of some ancient murals or carvings, but they're not. It's hard to make out, what exactly is going on. Um, with enough time and and energy and effort, it's definitely something that could eventually probably be deciphered, but not by you and not right now.
Mm.
You have to take a lot of time to sort of look over it.
So as everybody's filing out, I find myself lingering in this room again. I kind of look at the statue a little bit more, and then I kind of like smirk and kind of scoff and like shake my head and walk to the next room.
All right. Um, as you're entering into that room, again, the murals and stuff are there. Kenwa already kind of walked out with Intan, and you hear him exclaim, "Whoa, my! This is amazing!" Uh, Chiangan kind of gives you a look. Tawasu has already moved ahead. She kind of gives you a look and then, does this like, let's get after these guys before something bad happens. Um, yeah. And with that, you discover you can hear the porters actually as they are doing work there. Looks like you've kind of come around back to where you would have been before. Kenwa is um, basically looking at what appear to be several sarcophaguses, sarcophagi. And there's a couple of statues here. One of them is fallen and it is broken. There there appear to be words kind of placed in between each of the coffins. They're different words, but you don't understand them. He's basically looking through, and Kenwa is having Intanche kind of mark everything down and write it all in. Chiangan sort of, she's kind of gripping her naginata a little tighter. Um, it's this is like a graveyard.
Why are you so tense? They're just dead bodies.
Maybe just superstitions. I've always been wary around graveyards and cemeteries. Uh,
Well,
perhaps just
whatever was once dangerous now cannot lift a hand. They are guaranteed to be dust, maybe even less than that. The
oh
dead
man.
are no threat.
I hope you're right. Um, well, um, yes, let's she moves with that she moves sort of kind of down towards this area, and then you can see that oh wait, that's you. She's sort of looking down where the porters are. Um, Tawasu is continuing on kind of ahead of the group as Kenwa is just basically looking over each of these sarcophagi and wondering sort of what to make of them.
Would you like to open one, Chawaniku?
Oh, no, that it's a little bit premature for that, I think. Um, yes, a little premature for that. I think that we'll just catalog what we see here, and you know, we'll move on and see what else there is perhaps to see.
Yeah, very well. And
All
I'm
right,
chewing on another piece of jerky.
all right. Um, yeah, so you're kind of moving around. You're looking at the various sarcophagi as well. Chi and Gan is sort of standing guard there at the side. Um, Kenwa and Intan have made their way up to here and are kind of inscribing sort of the last sort of things. It appears these were great warriors of renown throughout the region in the time, and they are here to guard something. They're here to the antechamber of Nipoye. Uh, they're here to guard the antechambers of Nipoye. Well, interesting. Perhaps one of these is Nipoye. Um, imagine that. Uh, we could be in the presence of an ancient god.
I chuckle along.
kind of slips through. Uh, Toasu, what have you discovered in here? All right. Oh, very interesting. Um, Chiangan also follows through this point. Um, these candelabras, and this is that same woman. It appears. It does appear to be the same face of the woman in this sort of statue that's embedded in the wall, except that she has a blade in one hand and she's holding a shield in front of her. It's a large tower shield. The point of the shield is resting on the floor by her feet between her toes, and then the shield comes up to about uh, mid chest height, and she's got her hand on it there. She's got the other blade held like this, but kind of off the side. She still has that same hood, and her features are still still sort of serene, but her eyes are half lidded in this particular one. Um, the uh, the room is small. It's cramped. There's these golden candelabras on either side. Whatever candles might have been in them have long since faded away, and the uh, the air in here is it's thick and heavy. There's a thick layer of dust on the ground. Um, very odd that this sort of ends here the way it does. Well, wouldn't you say? Hmm. Uh, and he just starts kind of looking around, checking out the statue. Um,
Perhaps this is a door of some sort.
oh, this? Huh. Let's look it over. Tawasu kind of backs up, giving you space to sort of check it out and make an investigation test.
Okay. Well, here goes nothing.
Here goes nothing.
Yeah.
Hey, You're sort of like looking around the various parts of the statue. Um, Kenwa is also looking. Tawasu's kind of over your shoulder, like push that, pull that. Um, Go ahead and roll that again. We'll treat as if it was with advantage, and so we'll
Oh,
take
okay.
if you get a higher roll, we can take that.
Mm. Where'd it go? There it is. Nope.
Not get a we'll not take that.
Oh, I'm so lucky today.
Yeah. It takes several moments for you examining the statue, but you do notice that there's definitely something in there that that kind of swings. You see like marks, like a notch in the floor that kind of curves just enough that gives you this idea that this swings out somehow, but you can't find the catch for it. Um,
Uh, hmm, do I get the sense that, like, can I tell that? Well, you know what? I'll just let me jiggle one of the candelabras on the side to see if it's fastened down to the ground or if it's loose.
okay, so with that, you grab one of the candelabras and give it a tug, and it seems to tilt on a um, it tilts on the axis in the floor, right? As if it's like a lever, like if you grab the two
Mm.
sides, it actually
Mm-hmm.
pulls, and the other end swings and kind of taps in the wall, and then this actually does open up. Um, as it opens up, that slight
Nice.
bluish light that's been cast everywhere, it beams out of this doorway. Now, magic is definitely something that's been a thing, but only recent times, and this feels magical. You have not seen a lot of magic, but definitely this light that's kind of beaming. It's kind of beaming down over this, which looks like a large sarcophagus, and then it's hitting the floor there, and then kind of reflecting off the floor and out. And so there's this brilliant blue light. Oh my, Kenwa says, and he steps through. This is absolutely fantastic. Um, Intan follows in behind, kind of crowding behind him to write down what he's saying. He's looking. So this is the here is this is definitely it. Chingan sort of moves forward as well. She's looking at you like,
I'm kind of like awestruck with it. Where is the lens on this? Is there a flame beaming this light down? I'm trying to
do
like
you
trying to
enter,
find it.
do you enter further into the room or?
Well, I'm kind of in the doorway looking
All
at
right.
it and like trying to peer in without a little hesitant to go in.
As you're standing there, you see suddenly that sarcophagus. It doesn't open per se, right? It's not opening like the lid's coming off, but you see that the center of it is opening up. It's as if it's falling away and crumbling into the sarcophagus itself, as it just like it crumbles from the center outward, and then a hand reaches up, sort of spectral. Um, with fine, delicate, sort of a delicate hand with very polished nails that are a little bit longer, maybe like quarter inch extended, and then kind of another hand comes up and pulling herself out of this sarcophagus is a woman. Let's get that a little bit bigger, actually. Okay, is this woman, and she sort of steps out of this sarcophagus. Intan screams. She's just like, ah! And she drops the quill. Ink splashes kind of on herself and onto Kenwa. And Kenwa is backed up against this candelabra. He's just like, oh my, that's unexpected. The woman kind of stands there, and as she's looking, she kind of looks forward, and then her eyes kind of look you over real quick, and then she takes like a half a step forward, and then she starts to fall forward, as if she's weak, and yeah, so she kind of tumbles forward.
I'll rush in and catch her.
Oh,
Have have you been living in this place for all these years? How long have you been here? Are you okay? I check her vitals. Kind of
um,
my instincts start to kick in.
So as she's like kind of in your arms there, she the translucentness of her body is sort of fading, and she's becoming more real. Um, you see that she's got markings on her face that kind of extend down like letters, um, and maybe tattooed into her face. And she looks at you, and she says, it feels it feels, and when she speaks, you can understand the words, but you're very certain that the words she's saying are in a language that you've never heard before.
Hmm.
It has been so many years. So many years. Where? Who are you?
How is it that you survive in this place? You can't possibly have had any food, any air. How have you survived here? I
I sleep.
pull a little bit of food as well out and water and try to like offer it all to her.
Uh,
I'm looking for like any injuries or anything like that. Just kind of looking her over.
yeah, so she doesn't take the food, and as she's sitting there, um, suddenly she kind of, her gaze snaps up, looking behind you, and she says, Bajal.
I look.
As you turn, you see Gan kind of stumble a couple of steps forward towards you, and then she kind of leans against the wall on the left. Uh, as you're looking at her, she kind of looks down, and you follow her gaze, and she's holding her side, and blood is seeping from out of her fingers. Um,
Okay, I'm gonna rush to her. Take
um,
care. What
as you
happened?
grab her, she looks back, and you see Tawasu approaching, and he's got a dagger, and he's lunging towards you.
Oh crap.
We're gonna roll initiative.
Oh. Mm, mm.
Oh, well, that was pretty good. Tawasu is red now. Um, Chiangan slumps over as this is happening. I guess I'll roll for them. 7 and 9. Well, Aegis, you finally got a good roll. Uh, and seeing
Finally.
what is happening, you actually get to go first.
Does it look like the the door that we came through? Does it look like does it look super heavy? Do you think I could close it?
Do you think you could close it? You can make an athletics check and try to grab it and pull it in. So remember, the door did open from the other side, and it did open out.
Right.
So
Um.
you can try to grab it and pull it closed, but in doing so, you probably elicit an attack of opportunity because you'll have to move over to the door and then out of his range.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna swing my shield out from behind me. And I'm gonna approach with the shield up
Hmm.
and kind of try to push him back because it looks like it's a pretty narrow doorway.
Right.
Um, and as I'm kind of like holding him at bay, I want to like try the door. As
Okay.
I say, Tawasu, what are you doing?
he looks at you and go ahead and make an athletics check.
Sure.
And this is your action. So the action is to try to close the door.
Mm-hmm.
You have only moved 2 spaces, so you still have plenty of movement left.
Oh, crap. Come on.
All right. So with that, you grab the door and you try to pull, but as hard as you pull, it's not budging. The whatever mechanisms are in place are holding. And he looks at you and he's like, nothing personal, friend. Kenwa is like, oh dear, oh, Chi and Gan, you've been stabbed. Intan is over there. What do we do? And then the woman, of course, she doesn't do anything either. And then Towasu is going to attempt to stick you with a blade.
Come on, AC.
Yes, the AC works out for you. As we can see, he rolled a total of 7, missing as he tries to stab forward with you towards you. It scrapes along the side of your shield, and with that, it's back to you.
So I'll take a step back, and I'll say, Towasu, this is madness. Why are you attacking us? You stabbed Shingan. Stop this. I'll take the dodge action.
Okay, so you take the dodge action, and then you're going to move back. All right, so he's going to in the room, everyone is just kind of doing what they're doing, which is freaking out at this sudden turn of events. And so on your character sheet, in your actions tab.
Actions tab. There.
Yes,
Oh,
you
dodge.
have a dodge action, and so what you can do is you can click that effect. So if you see the magnifying glass, that will expand it out, and then you'll see effect,
Oh,
and
right.
there's a little man icon. Click that once. There you go. Boom. So now you have taken the dodge action. So now as you are moving back, first he's going to take attack of opportunity to try to stab at you. Even with disadvantage, however, he gets a 17 and a 15, so he drops a 17. That meets. So he kind of bring your shield up, but then he stabs past and kind of gets you right in the bicep. For 7 points of damage.
Ouch.
That is a pretty hefty blow, given that you have 12 hit points. On his turn, he is also going to take a step forward and try to cut you down.
Oh, excuse me.
He says, I really hate to do this. I'm gonna miss your soup. But you do manage to get the shield up in time to sort of block him. Kenwa this time, he looks at you. He's like, do something, Aegis. He's killed Shingan. He'll kill us next.
She's dead. Can I tell from this distance?
Just looking at her, she doesn't look good. That's for sure. She's actually unconscious at this point, and the blood is still sort of kind of flowing slowly from the side. The puddle kind of getting bigger. On your turn, what would you like to do?
I want to try to knock him prone. I don't know how I would do that.
All right, so let's call that like a shield bash.
Okay.
So you'll forward. We'll have you do an attack as if it was your mace. And if he gets hit, we'll do opposing athletics checks to see if you can knock him off his feet.
Okay. Here we go. Jesus Christ. Oh.
So at this point, Kenwa, he is going to attempt to cast a spell.
What?
Yes, he is magic. He says, Aegis, duck! As you
Oh, Kenwa.
thunder, he fires this. He does this kind of twist with his hands and fires a bolt of flame that lashes out towards Tawasu. It hits him fairly square, just sort of like burning along his shoulder and his face, and he screams out in pain and rage, "I'll get you for that, old man!" Inton is doing a little more cowering and whimpering. Tawasu is going to try to hit you again. You are in his way. He needs to murder. But with a 3,
Yes.
he's not going to hit you. It comes back to you.
Okay. I hurt. So I'm going to do. Wait, is second wind an action, or is it a
A bonus
bonus
action.
action? It's a bonus action. I'll do my second wind and get some
Okay.
life back.
So there's an icon, a healing icon that's associated with that. So you can click that. Boom. All right. And then we'll mark that that's been used.
And then I will use my action. I will attack with my mace. I will
All
not
right.
allow you to hurt anyone behind me, Tawasu.
Just stand aside. You don't have to die. Go ahead and make that attack roll. So you're just going to double click the box with the die icon.
Okay. Oh, Jesus.
So in the cramped quarters, you're trying to like get your mace out, but it's definitely a little bit difficult to hit him like that. Kenwa is like, again, blah! And he fires another bolt of magical fire towards Tawasu. However, it almost like you feel you feel like the heat kind of careen behind your head, and you smell like burning hair as it flashes into the wall next to you. Again, with Tawasu, he's like, you don't have to die, Aegis. You can still keep making your horrible soup. Live to fight another day. You bring your shield across, and it just rakes that dagger. You can just that grating sound of like metal on metal as it scratches across your blade. You see the blood on the dagger actually from when he must have stabbed Chiangan. It's back to you.
Stop your madness, Tawasu. Attack.
Okay, there we go. You got him. So then give us that damage roll. He managed to get out
Hey,
of
I'm
the
not
way.
a big guy.
Kind of like
I mean, I
clip
am,
him. You kind of clip him on the hand, and he just kind of snarls at you. Kenwa is going to attempt again to shoot the fire. Shoot to the fire. Nailing Tawasu. But the bolt is kind of small, and it just kind of burns away at some of the chest hair that's peeking out from Tawasu's shirt collar. Bringing us back to him. Go ahead and have him try to attack you. So he lunges again with his weapon, just trying to swing past your defenses. But a 1 is an automatic miss, no matter what. So that was no good. The back and forth kind of continues, Aegis, as you bring your mace back to bear.
Swing. There we go. Coming up.
There you go. There you go. You got him. All right. So 4 points of damage back to him. You kind of clock him, just kind of on the side of the head. He manages to duck back enough that it doesn't just it just doesn't just brain him completely, but yeah, he definitely is feeling that a little bit. Kenwa is he basically is going to tries to kind of cast the spell again, but then um, Intan just grabs him by the robe and kind of pulls him down like, help, you're gonna die. And yeah, so next up is the woman is still kind of like she's kneeling on her knees. She hasn't stood up yet, but she does reach forward, and you feel her kind of grab the back of your foot, your leg, like around your ankle, and she utters a word. And let me do this real quick. So I'm gonna change this. But yeah, she utters a word, and you feel sort of empowered. You feel this energy kind of course through you. You're not sure what it is, but then on Tawasu's turn, he snarls and says, "What did you do?" And then he lunges forward, trying to stab you with his blade, missing despite rolling that 16 and getting a +4, which would have been a 20. But there's some other thing at work here.
Wow.
It's almost as if something like pushed your shield into the way of the blade, actually. Like you almost didn't block it. Go ahead and take your action.
Yeah, I guess I'll swing again.
All right. Yeah, so that guides. You feel that same guidance. Where you would have missed, you actually hit and kind of clock him. Go ahead and roll that damage. All right. He kind of takes a couple of steps back, and if you would like, you can make an attack of opportunity.
Oh, certainly.
Again, you feel that guidance moving your mace in the right direction. Go ahead and roll that damage again. You kind of turn and hit him in the small of the back as he turns, and he's like, "This isn't over," and he moves away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 6, and 1, 2. All right. You hear shouts and stuff coming down the way. What do you do?
I immediately turn and go to Qi Gong and begin trying to bandage up her wound.
All right. Intan Che is just sobbing at this point, and Kenwa is like, what just happened? Why did Tawasu turn on us like that? I don't understand. Make a healing check.
Oh yeah. So it's an ability now. We have that as an ability, right? Or
No, the healing check is just a skill. You do have the feat that will allow you to, when you use it, it will actually, when you
medicine.
stabilize, actually regain a hit point and stuff. So yeah, medicine. Sorry, healing.
Medicine check.
Medicine check. Okay, so as you're working and you kind of, you're like, okay, just stay with us. You actually feel for a pulse, and she doesn't have one. And you realize that she's far gone. That in the time that you had to chase off Tawasu, she had bled out and expired.
I just pause. Tears kind of come to the front of my eyes. I just kind of stay there for a moment and silently kind of mourning. I'm disappointed.
Is she okay? Aegis, is she okay?
She's gone.
What? What? No. Why? Why? Why would? Why would Tawasu attack us? I. He. This. It doesn't make any sense. We're just here to learn. We're just here to oh dear. Um, Intan is sobbing in the corner. She's like curled in against the violence. As you're sitting there, you feel a hand softly grab your shoulder, and as you turn, you see the woman. She kind of looks at you and then looks at the body of Chiangan, uh, and you get a sense that she's asking if you'd like her help.
I just nod. Don't say anything but nod.
She moves in, and you kind of step away and back off, kind of confused. And she kneels in front of Chiangan, and she puts a hand on her head, and then puts her other hand on the wound, and she closes her eyes. And there is a moment when the light, the blue light that permeates this area, flashes intensely, and then you turn away from the blinding light that emanates now from the body of Chiangan. And as this light, this blinding light fades, the woman kind of pushes back, and you're watching uncertain, and then Chiangan kind of coughs. Um, Her eyes open, and she looks around momentarily. What? What happened?
This is impossible. How did you do that? What type of science is this?
The woman looks at you for a moment. She reaches forward and kind of just puts her hand on like the right side of your chest, um, and she nods. And then you see like she just starts to sort of fade away into like motes of light, and then eventually the lights just kind of like her whole body just fades into these blue motes that then fade and sparkle out, and then she's gone. The empty sarcophagus sitting there open. Um, Kenwa's like, that was incomprehensible. Chiangan sits up against the wall. What? What? She reaches down and where she was stabbed and pulls her hand away, and there's no fresh blood, just the dried blood that was already on her hand from before. And she kind of pulls at the armor there. I was stabbed.
You were
There's nothing.
dead. You were completely gone. No breath, no pulse. I watched her. She was over you, and then you breathed again. And you have no wound. This is impossible.
I don't know. I don't remember. Kenwa is like he's at this point now, like the terror of the battle has passed and is overcome with this like wonder of what he just saw, and he's trying to get Intan, who's still terrified and inconsolable, and he's trying to like get her to write stuff, and finally he's like and he picks up her inkwell and the quill and the book, and he starts scribbling furiously into his book. I, so, I imagine that must have that could only have been Nipoye. In your head, you actually hear this soft voice, Nipoye, and then
I turn to
he
him
says,
and I say, Nipoe.
Nipoye. No, so not Nipoye. Yay,
Her
yai.
name is Nipoe.
Oh, oh, if you say so. And then he continues scribbling furiously.
I'm kind of like looking off into like, kind of like blankly, like I don't know how I know that, and I'm just kind of like looking off like.
Chiangan kind of gets to her feet. She's bracing herself, but then as she stands, she just kind of nods. I feel fine. I don't think I've ever felt better. And she kind of steps out of the room at this point. Everyone follows out, and you guys head down to where the porters are, basically in a disarray, because a bleeding, disheveled Tawasu just came screaming out of this area and like ran past them all and exited. They're all very confused about what happened, and everybody just kind of sits, make sure that Chiangan is okay, and that Intanche is, they take care of her, and kind of get her to feel a little bit better, less terrified. And then you guys set a watch in case Tawasu comes back. But yeah, the events have left you a little shaken, a little uncertain, and the as the first night in the temple approaches, and you set up your camp here, you wonder what it all meant and what it all means. With that, we're going to end this prelude. And the discovery of something new and miraculous has occurred here. So, what do you think, Roland?
Hella intriguing, man. Like, yeah, yeah. I like the prospect of magic appearing. That was really cool. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, and what a twist! I knew that guy was gonna do something.
That guy's up to no good.
I had a feeling. Yeah.
I should have flipped it and had Chiangan be the one that did it.
So, I mean, I didn't actually suspect it. I picked him. Like this is the guy I'm gonna tell not to get us killed.
So, yeah. So of course, this is your first prelude. We've got another one that we're gonna schedule here shortly. Kind of sort of the aftermath of this, maybe sometime after your time in the temple here. You'll be level 2 at that time, and I think based on the events here, that level 2 that will shape what this level 2 looks like. The rest of the prelude. So now we've done everyone's first prelude, and we've done one second prelude, and that's for Randy. Once we do your second prelude, then you guys will actually come together for both of your third preludes. They'll actually play together. Yeah, so everybody that has tuned in to watch us, whether on Patreon or at a later date on YouTube, thanks for checking this out. If we're going, check out the campaign itself and look for the graphic series that we're going to put out through Rem Alternus and Like Clockwork. And until the next one, see you later. You got anything to sign out with there, Roland?
I'll think of something for the next time.
All right. Thanks a lot. We'll see y'all later. Bye.
See you.